welcome
Your WavyOcho gonna react to Inglewood family versus LA. Why everyone hates Inglewood.
back to another
Episode of Swamp Stories. For this episode, we head back to California. Okay. I know, this is the absolute last one. I promise, I want to cover it.
And he made mad California videos. Like he made mad California vids, bro. Where Californians beefing with each other and all that shit, got static with each other. Like,
the East Coast and the
South for the rest of the year. But nonetheless, this one is pretty interesting, so let's just go ahead and enjoy it. This is a story of broken friendship and how the city of Inglewood became enemy number one. But before we get into it, let me run the intro. In my most dangerous cities list, I mentioned that Inglewood is one of the safest cities in America and has been for a little while. Of course, this did not please the people from Inglewood, which is always a backwards train of thought. But
wait, so people from Inglewood watch his this nigga video, like, so people from Inglewood watch his vids and they didn't like that shit. They got tight over that. Damn.
it's actually true when
you roll around Inglewood, you don't sense danger or even poverty. It almost feels like any suburban city, especially if you're coming from South Central. But one thing that's important to note is that Inglewood is a changed city. Nothing like it once was. In fact, we're not too far removed from one of the worst rivalries in Southern California history. But wait, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We take a time machine way back to the 1970s. For those who don't know, Inglewood was built as a suburb of Los Angeles. It was designed for middle-class families who wanted to stay away from the madness of LA. However, it is located right next door. Regardless, it's always had its own separate identity. Unlike suburbs of Atlanta who are gonna claim they're from Atlanta, Inglewood is just gonna claim Inglewood. That's because it's extremely prideful. Let me explain the history. In 1960, Inglewood had a grand total of 29 African American residents. That's because most of the city was exclusive to non-African Americans, and that was by law. Well, in 1965, the ruling was struck down and Inglewood was now available to everyone. However, there was still a major issue. Banks would only provide loans for African Americans to stay on the east side, not the west. Essentially, starting in 1965, a bunch of South Central families moved to the east side of Inglewood. They thought that this would be an escape, but it actually wasn't. Their kids were sent to underfunded schools, jobs were not hiring, and you know the rest. Long story short, the east side of Inglewood started getting rough. A lot of young men seeked ways to make quick money, and in the process, a large gang formed on the east side.
Yeah, they don't want to get a job, bro. They don't want to work. They just want to be on the block getting money, like.
be known as the chain
Gang. They had two territories, the first being from Manchester down to Century Boulevard, and the second being the large Morningside Park neighborhood. The reason they formed is because of South Central members who would come over to Inglewood thinking it's sweet. Specifically, Tookie Williams' West Side Crips were notorious for this. So in response, the chain gang muscled up. Despite
being in a different city, the chain gang's territory was right across from their bitter rivals. And the theme of the 1970s was Inglewood's chain gang versus South Central's West Side Crips. Well, fast forward.
You remember when John Cena, when he first was WWE champion, he started calling his fans the Chain Gang, and now and times go by and he don't have that thugonomics giving no more. He started to call his fans the C Nation. So he changed it from for the Chain Gang to thugonomics. I mean, Chain Gang to C Nation, my fault. I know John Cena is not the subject. I know this is off topic, but I just want to say that though.
The 1980s,
and a major name change took place on both sides. As they expanded to larger territory in Inglewood and membership grew to 700, they wanted a new identity. Now known as the Inglewood family. It sounded better, and most importantly, it showed that they were a family after all. And by this time, Inglewood was no longer South Central's soft suburban cousin. Inglewood family was real factors in LA. This came with a heavy price. Of course, their next door neighbors were the infamous 8-Tray gangsters. Starting in the mid-1970s, the two sides began bumping heads. For a year and some change, scuffles occurred between the two sides, but each of them were preoccupied with other beefs in the region. However, on July 24th, 1977, that would all change. It's a blazing hot summer day and everyone is outside. For Inglewood family, they happen to be at Centinela Park. This is where they tend to hang out on nice days and have barbecues. Well, the night before at a party, 8-Tray and Inglewood family got into it once again. And this time, 8-Tray wanted to send a message. So a group of 4 members get in the car and head over to Centinela Park. They get out of the car and approach a small group of Inglewood members. The two groups start fighting, and that's when an 8-Tray member takes it to another level. Sadly, the leader of the Inglewood family would not make it. Unfortunately, the 8-Tray members would head back to Centinela Park the next day. But this time, the Inglewood family members were ready. The story goes that 2 8-Tray members passed away. From here on, the 8-Tray versus Inglewood family rivalry would be one of the worst in Los Angeles history. Because they border each other, life became extremely difficult on both sides. But not only did they rival 8-Tray, they also became bitter rivals with the infamous Rolling 60s. This would end up being one of their worst rivalries, to the point where anyone wearing the wrong color could be a target. In the 2000s, Inglewood family became notorious for random incidents, and this made them the most hated by far. Everyone knew that they were liable to do anything to anyone. They didn't care if you were affiliated or not. Inglewood family was known to ask questions after. November 18th, 2007. A man named Robert Jones is cruising down Crenshaw Boulevard with 3 friends and a
Damn, bro. They wild petty for that, bro. I ain't gonna lie, bro. They don't care if you affiliated or not. They gonna ask. They gonna say, "Hey, where you from?" Like, "Hey, where you from, bro? Where you from?" Like, that's how LA niggas talk out there, I guess. But yeah, bro.
Chevy Tahoe.
Jones and his friends are not members, but they have some associations
with the Rolling
60s. Well, Jones pulls over to the CVS on the corner of Crenshaw and Coliseum. Forever, this has been known as a Rolling 60s hangout spot where things go down on the regular. Just like any day, Jones heads into the CVS while his friends stay in the car. As he heads for the entrance, he notices a black Hummer parked out front, and from the car, 2 men hop out and approach Jones. They ask him, "Where you from?" to which he replies, "Nowhere." Then they ask, "Are you Rolling 60s?" to which he replies, "No." One of the men named Kevin Thompson does not believe him. Kevin happens to be an Inglewood family member looking to gain a reputation. Kevin makes a horrible decision.
Later that night, Kevin Thompson will be pulled over in the same black Hummer. The friends of Robert Jones would testify against Kevin Thompson, and now he's currently doing life. Again, this is another example of why everyone grew to dislike the Inglewood family. However, they did have a couple of close bonds. First, you have the Crenshaw Mafia, who border them at multiple locations. Since the start, this has definitely been their closest ally. Next, you have the infamous Mad Swans, located on the east side of South Central. And finally, Inglewood family was allied with the Denver Lanes, located all the way below the Hoovers. Their territory stretches from 104th to 120th in South Central. For decades, the two sections were best friends, and they rolled together against their common rivals. However, everything would change in 2013. February 9th, 2013. It's a Saturday night and Inglewood family and Denver Lanes meet up at the Normandy Casino. There, after a couple hours of drinks and fun, an argument takes place. Allegedly, an Inglewood member gets into it with a Denver Lane named WavyOcho. The argument gets disrespectful and both sides head their separate ways from the casino. This does not mean it's over, as Inglewood members head over to the Denver Lanes area 4 hours later. They spin around the area until they locate Trayvani on the corner of 110th and Denver Ave, and without hesitation, this moment changed everything. The 30-some years of alliance and friendship down the drain. All of the good times together now mean absolutely nothing. This is yet another example of why everyone despises the Inglewood family. And the Denver Lanes felt this exact way. So 3 days later, they would seek revenge in a major way. Because they were allied for so long, everyone knew where each other lived. And on February 12th, the Denver Lanes wanted to prove a message. At this point, the Inglewood families were led by a man named Clarence Gantz Sr.
Look like Snoop Dogg. Low key, I ain't gonna lie.
Also known as Big
Clayron. At this point, he was 46 years old, meaning he was triple OG status. So this is who the Denver Lanes wanted. He resided in Compton's Willowbrook neighborhood, and this is where they located him. On the afternoon of February 12th, Big Clayron passed away. Now the rivalry was official. In the span of 3 days, a member on each side was gone, and from here it would only get worse. In the next week, 3 more unidentified members would pass away. The former friends were now at each other's necks on a daily basis, and this prompted a rapper named Inglewood Monster to release a song called Supposed to Be Bloods. On the song, Monster talks about how he doesn't condone the beef between the two sides and how they need to come together. And this begs a good question. Is there a point where beef is not recoverable? If both sides have lost beloved members, how can they throw the white flag? Well, this song was an attempt to do so, and it included features from Damu rapper June Dog, Avenue Pyru member Red Drum 781, and Brims member G-Nut. The hope was to end all of the red-on-red rivalries in LA, but this was kind of a tough task, because at this point everyone hated the Inglewood family, except for a couple sections in Inglewood and the Stink Team. Yes, you heard that correctly. Draco the Ruler and the Stink Team were allied with the Inglewood family. They were often seen together, and Inglewood rapper Scheme was featured on Draco's early tapes. In fact, in June of 2016, Draco the Ruler and Inglewood rapper Rucci collaborated on a song. Together, everyone was going up. But then in typical Inglewood fashion, it would all fall apart. It started off with the infamous December 11th, 2016 incident. This is when the Stink Team allegedly claimed the life of Inglewood family's Davion Gregory. For years, Draco the Ruler fought this case in trial.
By the way, rest in peace to Drake, yo. Rest in peace to him. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't really listen to his song when he was alive, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't listen to his songs when he was alive. Rest in peace, but rest in peace to him, though.
which he eventually beat
after 2 times. To this day, no one knows why this incident occurred or why the beef started. But now, after losing a top member, the Inglewood family cut off their old friends. Now, the Stink Team was added to their long list of rivals. During the years that Draco was locked up, some Inglewood rappers would make some noise. Rucci would drop hit songs like Light It Up and Functions in the Hood. These would solidify him as a staple in LA rap. After him, a rapper named AZ Chike would drop some hit songs as well. The controversy around his name is that he joined the set at 25. In the LA street world, this is seen as extremely corny, and this is something that Draco the Ruler used to diss Inglewood family. AZ Chike would respond to Draco with a song called Lil Stink Stink, which prompted Draco the Ruler to drop the infamous Ingleweird. In the song, he referred to Inglewood as the suburbs, and that brings me to my next topic. Today, Inglewood itself itself is no longer dangerous, like not even remotely dangerous. And of course, this is an amazing thing. However, it has come with a cost. Let me explain. Inglewood is massively gentrified, especially with the construction of SoFi Stadium. And with this, rent prices have shot through the roof. On top of this, many old apartments have been torn down and rebuilt as luxury condos. Popular Inglewood family rapper Rucci grew up at 722 West Beach Avenue. This is what it looked like 2 years ago, and here's what it looks like now. I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing, but Inglewood is starting not to feel like Inglewood anymore. So if you didn't appreciate what I said on the most dangerous cities list, this episode was for you. But this is not where the story ends. The Inglewood family has spread to 2 cities in a major way. First, St. Louis, Missouri, but more importantly, Atlanta, Georgia. In fact, Inglewood family is arguably the most powerful section in East Atlanta. They have multiple large indictments which I can cover in separate episodes. But that's gonna do it for this one.
Okay, that's the vid. Yeah, bro. Let me know what y'all think, bro. Like, people from LA. If you're from LA and you're watching this, let me know what y'all think, bro. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section, bro, about this shit, bro. So yeah, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the vibes. Whoever you're checking out, you are.